Making the best quality cheese requires the best quality milk, and Ginger is living out here on a multicultural pasture, breathing fresh air, plenty of space, drinking spring water. I'm calf sharing her with her bull calf, so the milk that I'm getting is a fairly low cream content at this point, which may adversely affect the quality of this brie that we're about to make. The difference between brie and camembert, technically we're making a camembert, is mostly about size. Brie tends to be about an 8-inch diameter cheese, whereas this will be about a 4-inch diameter. Ginger's getting about 1.5 gallons a day, so after 2 days we have 3 gallons, and it's time to make some cheese. So I've made these molds by drilling holes in a 4-inch PVC pipe, and then I use those pine boards to set them on and flip them. So we'll get this 3 gallons of milk heating up to 90 degrees Fahrenheit, and then we'll use our MM100 culture, sprinkle that on the surface, and let that reconstitute, as well as a Penicillium candidum, about a 1/16 of a teaspoon here, and then that will form that white rind on the outside of the cheese. So we let those reconstitute for about 5 minutes, and then stir them in with an up and down motion, and spend about 30 seconds or so doing that. And then we'll go ahead and cover this cheese and let it sit for another 45 minutes while it ripens. Then, with our rennet diluted in a 1/4 cup of non-chlorinated water, get this milk moving, and then we'll pour that diluted rennet over it and stir that rennet in for about 35 or 40 seconds, something like that. Then we'll still the milk after we've got our rennet poured in, and then cover it and let the curd set for about 45 minutes or so. Looking for that clean break. We want a good firm curd on this soft cheese. So we'll let it run the full 45. Covered sitting there. And then we'll check it for a clean break. Lovely. So I'll just take a curd spoon and I will ladle off lenses of cheese curd and put it into those forms. And I'll do 1 scoop in one form and then move on to the next form, go all the way around and start over until we get all the forms filled up with cheese curd. We won't have room for all of this, so we have to wait for the curd to settle a little bit before putting another scoop on everything. And eventually they'll all settle in there. Then we'll just take those boards and lift up 3 forms at a time and set them in this bus tub with these custard dishes, keeping the cheese out of the dripping way. Then I use those spare boards to flip them every 2 hours and then leave them overnight. In the morning they'll look like this. And at this point they're ready to salt. So we'll weigh them out. This is 423 grams, so about 11 grams of kosher non-iodized salt. We wouldn't want to put something on the surface like iodine that would then kill off the microbiology we're relying on to get these cheeses in good condition. So I go through each one and just salt all surfaces and put them back in the Lexans to age. The FDA will not permit the sale of raw milk cheese that has been aged less than 60 days. And their thinking is that the long-term acidity of the environment will kill off any pathogenic bacteria. But with this clean cow, clean cheese, good conditions, I have absolutely no hesitation whatsoever in aging this cheese to 40-45 days, which is about where a brie is beginning to peak. So you can't technically sell a peaking raw brie into the white market, but because I'm making this for myself, they can't stop me. So the whey will sweat off, and this is the next day, draining that whey off. And then we just do that and flip them about every 12 hours or so till they start to develop this lovely white fluffy Penicillium candidum culture. There's a chunk out of this one where the cat knocked the lid into the Lexan. So this is the 3rd day and they're starting to bloom out, so I move them out to the cheese cave and they'll hang out here at 54 degrees. I find the key is keeping the inside of these nice and free of moisture. So I leave the lids cracked until that moisture stops forming, and then go out and flip them every day and assess how well the bloom is developing. Here I've got them fully covered because their humidity had gone down, and we're getting a pretty good rind on these cheeses on the edges and one side. The other side's a little bit behind, but I think we'll go ahead and keep those actually downward facing in hopes that the penicillium will run a little further on the bottom sides. And so get them all squared away and just keep an eye on them. I'm looking for a full, complete population of the surface with that culture, and let them stay in the cheese cave until that occurs. When we're ready, rather than pay for cheese paper, I'm perforating a plastic-lined butcher paper with pinholes to allow moisture to escape. And I chose to go ahead and wrap these because you can see that the penicillium is running on the mat, and it's populating these unpopulated sides. But I figure a change of environment would be good. I'm actually starting to see a little sign of what some folks call bee linens, which is a bacteria, but actually this orange color that I'm getting on a couple of these is, we're learning, formed by a yeast. And it's a yeast that likes a good salty outside of a cheese condition, so a lot of your wash rind cheeses, your Munsters and whatnot, will have that reddish color from the growth of this yeast. But I'm thinking that by moving them into the refrigerator wrapped, then the penicillium can continue to run and will minimize the growth of that other yeast culture. So I just wrap them in these, and those little micro perforations allow humidity to escape, and put them in a drawer in the cheese fridge and flip them over weekly. That refrigerator is running about 40 degrees. So 39 days later, we get this. All in all, a fine-looking cheese. Let's see what's on the inside here. Looks pretty good. You can see it's starting to get that gooey, runny brie thing around the edges. A little higher fat content might have allowed the center to be a little creamier. All in all, served with an apple and some honeycomb, this was an absolutely amazing cheese at 39 days old. So good, it's illegal.